speak to you in the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I get myself into trouble from time to time. This morning may be one of those times. So bear with me. It's not a popular view which I'm going to preach today, but it's my job. And the good news for you is this is an Anglican church. You can disagree. But you've got to hear me out. That's the deal. So where is he going to go now? Not this moment. This is great. It's not nearly that bad. But essentially what I'm going to take a poke at is you don't have to be a Christian to be a good person. And that's not popular because everywhere we all agree that you can be a good person without being a Christian. You can be a not religious person at all. Of course, the atheists make a great deal about this. Who are you to say I'm not a good person and all that kind of stuff? So I'm going to wade in where fools fear to tread, or the other thing, and have a go at what I think about that issue because it comes up for me in the readings today. It's Easter 2. We're just after the resurrection, and the lectionary turns immediately to the question of sin and righteousness and moral transformation. In the Acts of the Apostles, we hear that the earliest apostles, in response to the resurrection, had all things in common. They created a communist society where they cared for everybody. They shared all their possessions, and no one was without in the early Christian community. Everyone was valuable. We are here to care for each other. That's one of the immediate consequences of the resurrection. And so because Christ is risen from the dead, therefore we care for each other. It's an immediate response to the resurrection, to something religious, spiritual that happened to those disciples ages ago. The second reading talks about sins, about how one of the essential messages as far as John is concerned, that the message we have received from God is that if we are, that God is light, and those who are in God walk in light and not in darkness. And so that translated is be good people. Walk in light. Do the right things. Don't walk in darkness. Don't do the wrong things. Leave that old sinful self behind and become the new person that God is calling you to be. That's the consequence of the resurrection. That's what it means to be a Christian, is to become that new person who walks in the light and doesn't walk in the darkness anymore. So the moral transformation is at the heart of the earliest Christian proclamation. And then we have some reflection on sins. We always hear about doubting Thomas on Easter too, and so it's always easy to preach the doubting Thomas sermon, and I'm leaving Thomas aside today because also in that same thing is, receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained. The forgiveness or retention of sins is about moral transformation. It's about sins. We all know what sins look like. They're bad. They're bad things that people do. And so in all three readings, we have the immediate turn from this miracle of the resurrection to the consequences in the lives of believers, those who follow, and it is all about moral transformation. So for us as Christians, this is my first point, we cannot say that it means nothing morally to us to become a Christian. That to become a Christian is inseparable from a commitment to moral transformation. Within our conversation with each other, it's not okay to say, well, anybody can be good or bad, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. And so when I read, what was the crazy thing yesterday? A shootout in a Walmart in America with a Christian band shooting members of their own band or employees of Walmart. It's all muddy. You can see the video, which I did not click on. But this was a touring Christian band the southern states that got in a gunfight in a Walmart, right? And out comes the internet hate on all sides in the comment thread. I mean, if you've ever been anywhere near the internet, you will see the font of wisdom that are the comment threads. News articles, right? Yeah, Christians, well, they don't represent real Christians, blah, 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 right? And why is it emotionally fraught? Why do people feel compelled to comment? Because inherently, to be a Christian needs to be connected to moral transformation. It is more bizarre that it was a Christian band. Well, why did they say Christian? Why just say a band? Well, because it is more bizarre. It should be more bizarre that it's a Christian band. That they get into shootouts at Walmarts. If it were a heavy metal band, they go, well, you know. Rappers, yeah, sure. But Christian, no, that should make you go, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. Because the moral transformation is at the heart of the Christian gospel. It is, right? So for us, we say, it does make a difference if you're Christian. If you're a Christian, you should be better. You should be better than that, right? And yes, I know we want to get away from the shaming and the shunning and the judging and all that kind of stuff, because the biggest sin right now, God help me, is to judge anyone else, right? But we should be better than that. Moral transformation is at our heart, right? Now, so the scriptures take us there, right? And then the question for us has always been, do we live up to our calling? We know where we should be. We know who we should be. Do we do it? And so we read about the apostles sharing all things in common and no one going without need. And we look at our church congregation and we say, do we take care of each other like that? Or are we all too English and polite and say, well, I wouldn't want to know, you know, if they're having a hard time, best not to talk to them about it, right? I mean, it's clear that the call of what a Christian congregation is at least in part to care for each other, to say, how are you doing? You know, can I help you out? You having a hard time? Need help with the kids? That's just the natural, normal thing about being a Christian community. Are you facing a move into care? Who's there to help you do that? Who's there to listen to you go, I don't want to do it, but maybe I should. My kids are getting on my case, and no. Who do you talk to about that? We should be the ones with whom it is safe to have those conversations and helpful to have those conversations, because we are the ones who should care for each other. That you should be able to go to any person in this room and say, you know, here's where I'm at, and have that person give you the time of day and say, I do care about you. What can I do for you? Bottom line, right? So that's straight after the resurrection, to moral transformation, to what it means to be in community with each other. It's a straight line for us. Now, I will not say, and I'm very broad-minded and ecumenical and interfaith, I really am, and I think you can find God in all kinds of ways, but I think that you do need to find God one way or another, and that you can find God through Jesus. That's the heart of our proclamation. Maybe you can find God in other religious traditions too, and I'm open to that conversation, and I certainly see the evidence of it in some of the people from other faith traditions that I've met. I've met saintly Jews and Muslims and Sikhs and wonderful people, and I say, well, I don't know what you're doing, but clearly whatever it is, it's working for you. Bless you. Great. You know? So it's not cultural imperialism that I'm after. It's not my way or the highway. It's not this is the only way. This is a way. It is my way. It is the way that I guarantee will work. So if your way is not working for you, come on down. This is going to work. I guarantee it. You put your heart into the Christian discipleship, you will change. That's what it's all about. And the punchy argument from me is, if you think that it doesn't matter, that you don't even need God to be a good person. You don't need some larger perspective that goes beyond this life, because the resurrection takes us beyond physical life to whatever lies beyond, to wherever God is. If that's all you have is this life alone, science, you know, then you can be a good person, but you have no reason to be. Because then you hit up against Nietzsche and Machiavelli, who said compellingly that if your concern is for this world, then being good is a strategic handicap, right? Because if the person who's not good goes out in a contest against the person who is good, the person who's not good has more tools. They can invite you to dinner and then slaughter your whole family. They can do that. I'm quoting Machiavelli. I didn't make that up. Machiavelli was quoting an actual thing that happened. He said, well, remember that guy who invited all of his rivals, you know, where they all laid down their weapons and they were going to have a peace talk, and then he killed them all at the dinner table. That was very effective, said Machiavelli, because in the end they were dead, and he was alive, and he got to be the boss of the whole city. So you got to understand, those are in your tactical arsenal if you're going to be a prince, right? And to this day, Machiavelli is on the bedside of every CEO in the world, because he was right? And if all you care about is this life, then the sociopaths and psychopaths win. That's how it is. the ones that don't care for the other, the ones that care only for number one, right? And yes, there are benefits in this life to being a good person. I'm 100% in favor of that. I joke that I have the best job in the world because my job is based on loving people. That means I wander around Vernon and I have all kinds of people with whom I've had wonderful, loving relationships, and that you can't get a better, you can't buy that life. You know, Justin Bieber, does he have that life? I don't think so. You know, I've got it better because the foundation of my working life is how do I best love the people with whom I come into contact. That's it. And so, yes, I've made sacrifices for my vocation, but it's paid off tenfold in ways that are not measurable in the bank account. And so I can say from personal experience, give up that other way. This way is better. It works better. You win. You die happy, surrounded by people who love you. You can't buy that. You can't bully your way into that. And it's worth so much more. So yes, the benefits are this worldly for being good, for the moral transformation that we're supposed to be about. Yes, it pays off even on this side of the grave. But if we don't have that other side of the grave, then there's a limit. As soon as it stops paying off in this life, we go, yeah, that's a little too much. Then we're not prepared to make that much sacrifice. Right? But the Christians always have been willing to make that much sacrifice. They have been the ones to say, no, this compassion for others is worth my life. This following of the new way of Jesus and standing up for what I believe is worth it. Even if people kill me for it, it's still worth it because the benefits are not limited to those of this life. And so we always look beyond this life because of the resurrection. So for us, the foundation of altruism, of sacrifice for the benefit of the other, always lies beyond this life, always lies in God, to whom we believe we have a relationship, with whom we have a relationship, and whom we have come to know, and who tells us that, yes, this new way of being is the becoming of who you are, who you were meant to be, who you will be in my presence in eternity. That's the new you that is built on love, not on selfishness, not on greed, not on what you can get out of it, all the rest of it. And so without that foundation, you end up with Machiavelli and Nietzsche. Nietzsche said God is dead, and so he's one of the only people in that generation that realized that you didn't lose a lot when you lost God. You could still go to work and still have a family and do all those things. What you lost was the meaning of life, just that. And then you had to reconstruct that. And so he said, well, the will to power, to make a difference, to be great, that's the new foundation of morality. So whatever you need to do to be great, do that. And Hitler, of course, is a famous disciple of Nietzsche. But Nietzsche's right. He's right in his logic. He's just wrong in his premise. The premise was God's dead. And I'm here to tell you, God ain't dead. God's been alive for a long time, and is still alive today. And I don't need to look 2,000 years ago to the resurrection to tell you that. I can tell you that in the faces of the people that I meet. I can tell you God is alive. God is transforming them. God is transforming me to this day, because I'm still not done yet. And so, thanks be to God, you do need to be a Christian. You do need to find God if you're really going to dig down into that moral transformation. And in the end, it's worth it. Not just for the benefits in this life, but for the benefits in the next. For what God has in store for us, which is ultimately where we place our hope as Christians. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.